Hi, this is Alan with FrontendAudio.com, and today we are here with the Crane Song Trakker. The Trakker is a single-channel Class A transformerless input and output compressor that features basically 4 different character types and 4 subtypes for each of those. So you have basically 16 possible characters with this particular unit, and that's in addition to the broad sweeping character changes that are available with the normal, attack, release, threshold, and knee controls. To quickly cover the front panel controls, we start on the left with the threshold. Basically, it's going to be wide open when all the way over to the left. As you approach the right side, you're going to start clamping down the sound. The compressor is going to begin engaging. Over here is going to be your standard attack and release settings. Those are going to be both be fast over towards the left-hand side and slowing down as you move towards the right-hand side. Over here is going to be the knee control, and knee control basically over to the left is going to be a slow, very gentle curve style knee. So it's just as the threshold is triggered, then basically it begins to very slowly enact that compression. Bringing it over towards the right is going to be a hard knee, which once it's triggered, it very quickly clamps down on the sound and it produces more, less gentle effects. What really sets the Trakker apart is what happens in this knob here, and that's the character settings knob. The character settings knob basically has 4 broad ranging sections. The first being the optical section, second being the air optical, the third being a soft knee range, and then the fourth and last being the hard knee range. Basically what's happening with the optical side is it does the emulation of typical optical compressors like LA2A and LA3A, with some twiddling of the knobs and using some of the basic guide settings that are available on Crane Song's website. I was able to compare against LA2A, LA3A, and get very convincing sounds from this unit in comparison to those. The air optical range differs from the optical range in that basically you now have a high frequency compensation that is now applied to the sound of the optical. So that is something that basically helps you retain frequency linearity and compensation for high frequency loss that occurs in many optical designs. Over in the soft knee section, basically what begins to happen is that it's a range that focuses more on some of the more classic soft knee style compression types. And so the knee range basically at that point, it does get a little bit harder, it gets softer and so forth, but it's going to retain that overall soft character across all the different setting types. And then finally in the hard knee section, obviously it's going to be the opposite of that, and of course the knee setting will change. And basically one thing though with the hard knee setting is that the side chain circuit does, whenever you engage that, there's a connection on the back to employ side chaining. The threshold at that point has to be readjusted in order to compensate for that, because it does, the whole circuitry at that point switches over, and that's the one range basically that's radically different in terms of the wiring internally than the others. As you engage each one of these settings within, and we're going to cover what each one of these are, basically you're going to hear beyond just the click of the switch, there's a click internally. You'll notice that whenever you engage lots of different things, especially the bypass, power switch, everything's relay based, which basically means that you're going to have shorter signal paths and much more direct connectivity on the circuit board, resulting in cleaner audio. Now within each of the 4 broad ranges again being optical, air optical, soft knee, hard knee, are going to be 4 separate settings. And basically those are going to be clean, vintage, clean VCA, and a vintage VCA. On the clean setting, basically it's not going to alter, in this case, the optical character in any way. As you move to the vintage setting, now that basically will employ a triode tube circuit sound, and also something of a single-ended Class A transistor style. Basically what that means to us is it's going to employ second-order harmonics, and as you approach clipping, third-order harmonics are going to be introduced to it. So it does add more of a that vintagey flavor, as the setting denotes. Now, as we move into the VCA stages, this is something that is very gain dynamic, something where the attack and release settings are really going to start to show off the character that is injected upon the clean then with the VCA and the vintage with VCA. Again, all of these settings, basically, the sub-settings are within each of the broad ranges. So there's a lot of different sounds in this box, a lot of different emulations that can be achieved. Again, you can find a lot of starting points and emulations that Cranesong has on their website that people have submitted, where they've basically done a side-by-side comparison with LA2A, LA3A, Fairchild 670, for instance, or 660. And so if you purchase one of these and come up with some good comparisons, then they actually welcome your sample settings to be uploaded to their page. And moving over to the right side of the unit some more, we get to a 22 segment LED meter. It's one of the best meters I've found for compression. You really do get a good picture of what's happening, and it's got a great response to it. And you can, of course, select gain reduction or output metering. And there is a clip light over to the side as well. It starts to slightly light up, just giving you a good enough warning that you're approaching output clipping. Here's a linking switch. You can link up to 8 of the Cranesong trackers together. Linking 2 of them is really popular. These are purchased in pairs regularly. You'll find lots of fans and mastering engineers such as Bob Katz who find that this is one of the most versatile compressors on the market. And finally, you have a bypass switch here. The bypass is one that disengages all circuitry within there. Basically, it just purely ties input straight through to output. And as you engage it, you hear a relay switch inside. And finally, you have an output gain adjustment here. Very clean sound, which is very much a hallmark of the Cranesong circuitry. Just one of the overall things for Cranesong is that they keep a very, very clean signal path that does not alter the sound until you want to. So in the case of the character switch here, then basically that's where you begin to select and dig in and get very specific on changing the character of the compressor on that sound. On the back of the unit, basically we have our input and output via XLR, and then we're going to have the sidechain connectivity here. There is a pinout included in the manual. You will need to make your own cable for this, but it's a 9-pin connector, and then basically there's a 15-pin for linking units together. So that pretty much sums up the basic controls and some of the basic experience you'll come across with the first time you come across the tracker. There's a lot of different sounds through a lot of different settings on this box, so you will need to spend some time and really kind of find out what's really going to work best for you and the different elements that you come across. There isn't a whole lot that this box can't do. It really is kind of the history and the evolution of compression contained within one box. It's different than the STC8. A lot of people feel that it's more versatile overall, so you'll find these sold more frequently in pairs for stereo compression use in mastering. And for more information on the Cranesong tracker and for all your pro audio needs, check us out online at frontendaudio.com. Thanks.